Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you can see, I am not Elder Sheila Black. I have taken over her talk show for this morning, and so it is the invasion of Nikki Chriesman-Green. She may get it back, she may not. Oh, I am so thrilled. Happy Saturday. Good morning. I hope everybody enjoyed National Black Girl Day off yesterday, whether you were able to take off from work and get paid for it or you just played hooky. I didn't find out about it until the last minute, but you better believe
I didn't know about
going
that.
you knew it too, yeah. Going forward, I will be celebrating that and trying to we'll start a petition, get Miss Opal Lee to see if she can help us
Get another national holiday.
add that to her legendary trait. So just a little bit about me. My name is Nikki Chriesman-Green. I am an attorney here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, also a board member for the African American Lawyers section for the State Bar of Texas, member of L. Clifford Davis Legal Association, a resident of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, Texas, lifelong resident of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so all things Tarrant County are important to me. And one of those things is making sure that everybody has knowledge and a right, and they exercise that right to vote. I am one of those individuals, and I'll tell you right now that I believe in researching the individuals. I believe that we have to choose person over party. And so it's not just about what you believe in. And so in that journey, I have been able to meet some wonderful people that are Republicans. I've been able to meet some wonderful people that are Democrats, and I always look at the heart of the person. Today, I have the awesome privilege of introducing one of my very, very good friends, a very dependable and trustworthy colleague. I'm going to read her bio. But before I do that, I just want you guys to know that I have seen this individual doing the work that she is talking about. I've seen her do the work that many of us envision when we want a judge or we want any kind of leader representing us. I've seen her represent people for free. I've seen her reaching out to people and answering questions with respect to criminal cases and just in general. During the George Floyd incident, when there were protests that were happening here, and there were a bunch of young people that had got arrested in one of the protesting incidents over the bridge. MarQ Marquita had went to the jailhouse, and her, and of course Albert Roberts and others, and myself, not having any knowledge of criminal law, was trained by these individuals, including Mark, on how to help these people represent themselves and get the assistance that they needed for legal help for free. And that is when I knew that she was the real deal. And I appreciate her taking out time today. She is running for judge for Tarrant County Criminal District Court number 3. She has a very successful two. Yeah, let me get that right when y'all on the ballot. So y'all not looking in the wrong place, but two. She is also has her own successful law practice where she practices criminal law and helps defend people and also make sure that they are being charged for the right thing. She is also a great friend. She is a member of the AKA sorority. I don't want to forget that because I've had some of her friends reach out to me, asking me, is that me on the flyer with her? And I'm like, oh, wow. Yes, ma'am, it is. So I'm just going to read her quick bio, and then I'm going to give her an opportunity to just kind of say hello. But MarQ Clayton is the proud mother of 2. She attended the University of Oklahoma, where she received her Bachelor of Art in Mathematics. MarQ has worked as a senior pension analyst before she decided to go to law school. Never knew that. We was doing benefits together, huh? Mm-hmm. That's a very simple career path. We're going to save that for another talk show. But she received her Juris Doctorate degree from Texas A&M University School of Law in Fort Worth. She began her legal career as the first African-American assistant county attorney in Hood County, Texas. She then opened the Clayton Law Firm in Fort Worth, Texas. MarQ handles primarily criminal law cases in Tarrant and Dallas County. She has been admitted to the Texas Bar College. She also is the inventor. Y'all see her beautiful hair, her locks. She invented the lock brush, and I'm going to have her advertise that at the end. Yeah, plug. It is the first of its kind, but it is a detangling brush that is specifically designed for locked hair. She is also an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Xi Theta Omega chapter in Arlington, Texas. I'll let you get in your little, you want to go ahead and say, there you go. Where she serves as the treasurer. She founded Girl to Girl Foundation to be a resource to young mothers. I have seen her giving out scholarships, guys, and just really working with young women in the community. She also awards scholarships, like I said, and continues her work in and around the Tarrant County community. MarQ is also the judicial candidate for Tarrant County Criminal District Court 2 and will appear on the ballot on November 5th. And so, again, introducing MarQ. MarQ, would you like to say hello?
Hello. Thanks for having me on this morning. I'm really excited to dialogue with you.
Yeah, so let's start. So I know you, and I've talked about how I've known you for like the last 5 minutes, and people probably won't be quiet. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your growing up? Like, what made you want to even become an attorney?
Okay. It's quite an interesting story because it's actually not been a goal or aspiration of mine growing up. I was going to be a doctor. That I went to undergrad and I was math pre-med and I did all the things for medical school. I had my daughter when I was in undergrad and she was 2 at the time I graduated. And I felt like I was not ready to go to medical school and that I probably wouldn't be able to handle it also with the 2-year-old. So I went into the workforce. And then I was working on a theatrical play, touring a theatrical play with some friends. And I thought I wanted to do sports and entertainment law because I was more of the business side, doing the contracts and everything. And so that's why I went to law school, was to do sports and entertainment law. And when I got there, I fell in love with criminal law and family law. And I felt like those were the 2 most rewarding areas of the practice of law to me. And that's how I got introduced to criminal and family law. And so right after passing the bar, I went and prosecuted in Hood County, and then I opened my own practice, and that's what I've been doing since.
So, MarQ, you, as noted in your bio, you were the first African-American assistant county attorney in Hood County, Texas. What was that like?
You know what? I actually loved my experience there prosecuting in that county, mainly because we had full autonomy of our cases. So you hear some stories of some district attorneys' offices that have stats or numbers or requirements that they're going after, and that's not what it was in Hood County. As an attorney, I decided the case from intake to trial, whatever that decision was. And our boss, the county attorney, even if we had a question, we could go to her and get that advice. And she would ultimately say, but it's up to you. This is what I think, but it's up to you. So I really loved being down there. And I got so much experience within the first year. I mean, when I started, I was in trial the very first week of starting there. So it was literally a plunge into the ocean, but it was the exact experience that I needed in order to open my own practice. So I loved my time down there.
And how long were you down there again? How long were you down there?
8 months.
Okay, gotcha. And so then we came to Tarrant County, to Fort Worth, right?
Yes.
How would you say that the transition changed from just dealing with the Hood County's prosecutor's office or the county attorney's office to dealing with cases here or dealing with our district attorney's office here in Tarrant County? Like, is there a marked difference?
Yes, actually there is. So because that was a smaller county, I had a lot more hands-on with cases there. I took half of the caseload there. One thing that was a notable difference in cases were the offers that were standard in the smaller county than offers that are standard in a bigger county. And so that was immediately like, oh, okay, this is how we doing things up here, which honestly made a bit more sense. But the caveat to that is sometimes in Tarrant County or in the larger counties, some of the prosecutors' hands are tied by the higher ups, where that was not my experience when I worked in Hood County. The attorney had the discretion to handle the case in the way that they felt was correct. And so that is a stark difference in that sometimes there's cases where a prosecutor will say, I mean, I can't do anything about it. You have to go to somebody else. And so that's a big difference as well.
I want to take it to 101. And I'm going to take it to government 101, because this is a misconception that I think a lot of people have. And that's understanding how the district attorney's office works, right? When you are elected district attorney, because that's what appears on the ballot, you're not technically necessarily electing all of the attorneys that work in that office, but in a way that you are. Can you explain how the offices work for those that are, when they're on their ballot, and they're looking at how the district attorney impacts the office or the prosecuting officers in the courts, per se, in Tarrant County?
Well, the elected district attorney is the leader of all hired assistant district attorneys at whatever level, misdemeanor or felony. The elected district attorney oversees them. They set the standard for what they expect, how to handle cases. And so they have the say-so of, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do that. And so when you elect the leader, you are essentially electing all the hundreds of prosecutors that flow under them, because if they want a job, then they probably better do what their leader has told them or instructed them on how to do their job. And so you are electing the culture of an office when you select who the district attorney is going to be. And in criminal cases, they are driven by the district attorney's office, the prosecutor. They have the power. They're going to ultimately kind of be the decider on whether you are going to be able to plead, because if they can come to something that's workable with the defense, then great, we can agree. But if they don't, the defense can't force them to get where they need to be. And so your other option is going to be a trial. So they're really holding all the stakes of these cases. And so when you're talking about electing this one person, it is just that important, because it's going to affect every single case that comes out of that office in the way that they decide how they want their office to be run, or how they want cases to be handled. Even what cases to accept. What cases are we even accepting to prosecute in this office? Those are decisions that are made by the regime when you elect the district attorney.
And so that brings me to my next question, because we have, you elect your district attorney. You've explained to us how it works with respect to deciding which cases to prosecute, kind of setting the culture and what your prosecuting philosophy is going to be. How does that connect with the judge? Because what power then does the judge have? Because the judge is not picking the cases, right? But how does that work with the judge that is in that particular court?
So the court presides over the case. They hold the dockets, so they decide when the case comes to court. But what case it is, the judge has no power over. A lot of people also confuse, like when they first start a case, they're like, what kind of judge I got? Oh, I heard he this way or she this way, and they gonna do this and that. The judge actually never knows about your case specifically unless it's brought to trial. So the first time the judge will know any specifics about a person's case is only if it's presented to them in a way of a trial, or if you have decided to plea, and then they would have the plea paperwork. And even in the sense of a plea, a judge does not know the facts of your case, because you're not presenting the facts of your case. You're just presenting what agreement you have come up with the state. And so that is a big misconception, that the judge is in charge of a person's case and the outcome of the case, because they're not, unless it comes to a point where the judge is presented with a trial of the case. And so the important role, though, of a judge is to ensure that, in my personal opinion, is to ensure that cases are moving through the system at a reasonable amount of time. And that's one of the issues that we are facing with here in Tarrant County, is that cases are pending too long. A person can be waiting in jail for upwards of 4 years or more, waiting on a trial. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous. And so I believe we need to put processes in place to ensure that cases, and my goal is to initially ensure that they're moving through no less than 3 years, but an ultimate goal is 2, because the good old saying is so true: justice delayed is justice denied. Cases do not get better with time. And if we're waiting 4 years to bring a case to trial, oftentimes think about a victim of a very heinous crime. They are now re-traumatized 4 years later because they have to come and tell their story again 4 years later after they've probably done counseling and healed and done all of that. And so for me, that is actually one of my goals. But that is the judge's role in cases, is to ensure that they're moving through the docket. And then if it is brought to trial, they are the gatekeepers of evidence. So if the jury, if it's being tried before a jury, the judge doesn't make a decision on whether you're guilty or innocent. That's the jury, but the judge do decide what evidence can be shared with the jury. And so in that way, they do kind of have a little control over the case, because some evidence, and we've seen times where evidence may be excluded that shouldn't have, or evidence has been allowed in that probably shouldn't have. And so these are very important decisions that are being made during trials by a judge. So a judge, consider it the gatekeeper of evidence, deciding what can come in and what cannot come in.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm shooketh. Can I say that? I am shooketh. That is 4 years, because I don't practice criminal law, but because of all of my beautiful criminal law attorney friends, I keep apprised of the things that are happening on that side of the landscape. And I think one of the things that you just brought up is the necessity of moving these cases forward, not just for the victims, but also for those defendants, because evidence it gets stale, and just kind of like the investigation. What is behind some of the delays, or why are there delays that you think? Is that judicial?
So it could be and allowing continuance after continuance after continuance, not properly managing dockets, or making folks giving them their final day. How about that? Another thing, I believe that the state, because the state also has a say in what cases they're proceeding on. And so I believe the state cherry picks some cases. I'll give a prime example. I had a case that was brought to a final trial, jury trial, within 2 years, a year and a half of the actual offense. That same case, after this jury trial, after being sentenced, after being sent off, was brought back for another trial within 1 year. And there are many people that still sat in Tarrant County Jail waiting on their first trial. So that also goes back to that elected district attorney and the culture that they set for their office. And so cherry picking hot topic cases, to get a name or be able to put stuff out, that is not appropriate. We should be treating everyone's case with the same type of importance. And ensuring that they're going through in the time in which they come into the court or being filed. But yeah, I believe that the district attorney's office also has a hand in cherry picking what cases they feel like they want to proceed on faster than others.
So in running for a judge, I don't think anybody just wakes up the next day and says, you know what, I'm going to be a judge, right? It's a lot of work. I've seen the work that you put into this. I've seen the finances that go into running a successful campaign. I've also seen the polarizing nature. You have people that run for certain offices. If they don't receive it as an attorney, they still have to practice in those courts, right? And so I'm pretty sure it's not the most comfortable thing to be walking into court with a case against somebody that you were running against. And so my question to you is, why do it? Like, what is it that's driving you to want to take on this burden in Tarrant County?
I'm obviously senile. Let's just start there. I honestly, it's the greater good. There's a need, in my opinion, in Tarrant County, because being a judge is definitely, attorney was not on my list, but being a judge was definitely not, because I don't like politics, and politics are nasty for no reason, because everyone that's elected is elected to serve people. And so if you're being nasty and, grimy, why would we want that type of person as a person that serves other human beings? So being a judge was definitely not on my list of things to do, but there is a need, and there's a specific need in Tarrant County also for representation in our leadership. Tarrant County it bounces between 12th and 13th largest urban county, or largest diverse county in the country. We are the only large urban county that has not diversified its leadership. And this is nationwide. And it's really unfortunate. And people think when you talk about diversity and leadership, it's all about, for criminal area, getting a slap on the wrist or getting a hookup or getting off free. That's not what it's about. Every culture is different. And so having someone from the different cultures have a seat at the table, because beyond the cases, there are other decisions that are made by the judges, specifically in the county, over other things. And so ensuring that a representative or someone with the same cultural dynamic has a seat at the table to express a different way of life. Also, just being in the courtroom in criminal cases specifically, I feel very confident in saying that more than 50% of the criminal cases are Black and brown people. And having someone who understands their background, their upbringing, their cultural, maybe how they even got to where they were, makes a world of a difference than someone who doesn't know you from Adam. You can be so cold to a person that you don't know from Adam versus your neighbor or your church friend's son or daughter. And so that's why it's important for representation. So really, it was the lack of diversity and then just seeing the lack of efficiencies in the court that made me feel like I needed to step up.
And currently in Tarrant County, how many criminal courts do we have?
21.
But 21 criminal courts. In those 21 criminal courts, how many have some type of Black or brown representation?
In the criminal courts, we have one African-American judge who has to retire at the end of this year, by the way. Have to retire at the end of the year. That's the seat that I'm running for. And we have one Latino male judge.
Out of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the things I want to clear up, and y'all know me, I'm just going to keep it real. A lot of times I think that when we see African Americans or we see Black and browns on the ballot, and this is not just from an African American perspective, but this is from the opposite race perspective. They think because we are saying that, you need representation or you need someone that understands that means we're going to go into that situation and let them get off, or we're going to handle their case any different. So I want to clear that up. When we say that you need representation, what exactly are we saying? MarQ.
So for me, it's just having someone with the understanding. Like I was saying, and I have seen it myself in my own cases, there is disparaging treatment between people when they come into the court. I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm not saying it happens in all the courts or with all the prosecutors, but it happens. And so having a judge that, one, can recognize that disparaging sentences and plea deals and things like that still exist, who can keep a keen eye on it, ensuring that it does not happen in criminal district court number 2. That is important. And then again, there is a difference in having empathy for a person. It doesn't mean that you're getting off scotch-free, but it's a different type of treatment and respect. It's easy to be cold, wipe your hands with someone that you don't know from Adam. They're not familiar to you. They're not relative to you. But just like your child, you punish your children, but you do so with love. You don't do so to tear them down and wash your hands of them and then just leave them out to dry. That's the type of feelings that you get whenever you don't have that representation before you with someone who is not familiar to who you are or your culture or you as a person. So that's why I say representation is important.
And thank you for saying that, because that's what I say when I do civil law. I do civil I'm in-house counsel. So when I go into boardrooms and I see a lot of times others that don't look like me, it is very helpful to be able to have unique ideas. Judges contribute just like with corporate ideas. If I can say, hey, I kind of grew up like this and this is what I saw from this. Like when we're looking at products and we're selling products, right? And we're trying to promote something. You need to know how someone in this community would look at this product versus someone in this one. And what are the ways, creative ways that they would adapt or they would be able to deal with punishment. I've seen judges come up with unique ways for sentencing, come up with treatment programs. We have courts where they are like, we don't need to put this person in jail, but maybe a drug program or this kind of program is helpful. And so when I see diversity, I'm talking about diversity, like you said, in culture, diversity in the ways that you grew up, diversity in economics, diversity in the thought process, right? Because what that does is it brings all parties together in a unique way to determine what is best in this particular situation. And if you don't have anybody that I grew up as a single mom. And I grew up with a single mom that was kind of like in a relationship that wasn't ideal for children. And I grew up myself with a single child as a teenager, right? And so when you see that, and there are different things that I went through, I have friends all across the spectrum, right? And I'm just going to be honest and transparent. I have friends that I know are breaking the law. They're doing stuff that they know they're not supposed to do. Yeah. That. I know them pre-law. I know them post-law. Right? and we all do. Everybody wants to act like them uncles or them brothers, aunties that is doing stuff they ain't supposed to be doing. It's it is what it is. But when you see kind of like the background and you understand, like, no, maybe they are not, in a gang. Maybe this is not why they do certain things, right? And you understand that, then I think it makes for a more representative type bench that can represent all of society and all of those individuals that will come before the court and actually contribute to real change in the community, to actually contribute to real change in the way that cases are handled, laws are handled, victims are compensated, victims receive justice. There's so many different ways to do that. So I'm glad that you explained that, because a lot of times people are like, oh, you Black, I'm Black, I'm gonna cut a deal. No.
That's not how that works.
No, like if you wrong, and you're gonna get what's wrong coming to you. And I might have to do it like my mama would do it with the best switch, right? Or my grandmother. So just definitely one of the aspects of it. And the other thing, when we're talking about Tarrant County is a very wide, very wide. And when I say wide, it's grown so much. I remember Mansfield is like a whole country now. I remember it used to be like a part of a street when I grew up in Arlington. Right. They have all kind of stuff happening out there. You have different parts. You have Crowley. We didn't have a Crowley before. It was just Southwest Fort Worth and the trees out that way. So you got Crowley. You got all of these diverse areas of Tarrant County. When you're running for Tarrant County Criminal Court number 2, right? Are you representing just people in Fort Worth? Like, how does that work, right? Like, who all can vote?
This is a county-wide seat. So everybody who lives in Tarrant County, and you're right, it's huge. 42 cities, huge. 2.2 million, huge. 1.2 registered. So this is a big county to reach. But everyone who is in Tarrant County, I will be on their ballot.
Perfect. Because I want people to understand how your ballots work. So you have your local city officials. When you have like the city of Arlington has their own city council, their mayor, the Fort Worth has their mayor, they have their city council. But when it comes to these seats, right? When it comes to the commissioner's court, when it comes to judges, district attorneys, guys, our ballot is representative of everyone. So MarQ is not just running for the city of Fort Worth, right? I want people to understand that.
That's right.
I don't live in Fort Worth, so I can't vote for her.
No, it's the city of Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, Kennedale, Crowley, Azle, Benbrook, Keller, Southlake, Grand Prairie. I mean, all the way up to Hazlitt. I mean, it's huge. So all of Tarrant County, and some of them are split. Like I live in Burleson, but I'm on the Tarrant County side. I'm on the city of Fort Worth side of Burleson, so it's still Tarrant County. So you have to, on those split counties like Grand Prairie, Burleson, I think Benbrook is one, and one north. You have to just check where you're registered to, in which county you are registered to vote. We used to say it depends on who you pay your taxes to, but we pay taxes to both of them. So
yeah, I was gonna say, they've been sliding in the little tax bills, right? Yeah, I live here, but you're gonna pay for 2 hospital districts when I can only go to 1. But you get the point. But okay, that's good to know, because I just want everybody, when you're looking at your ballot, right? Because I think we get confused And I encourage everybody I'm going to go ahead and plug it. I am doing a volunteer effort, volunteer coordinating efforts for all my attorneys and legal professionals on the call for the voting election protection initiative with the Barbara Jordan Leadership Institute. Go to my Facebook page. You can sign up and volunteer. If you are not an attorney, don't worry. I'll find something for you to do. Just reach out to me. And we want to get the vote out early, right? But one of the things that I constantly want to do is I want to educate people on voting and what that looks like and why it's important for us to even go online now and pull down a sample ballot so that we know who we're voting against. We have MarQ, right? She's running for Tarrant County Criminal District Court number 2. What differentiates you from the person that you're running against? So what that people are listening now, they'll know what are some of the differences that you can call out and that you can tell us to help us make that decision to vote for you or not to vote.
So for me, first and most important is my experience. And I'm glad that you also talked about when Black people see Black people running, or people in general see Black people running, they think, oh, you just want my vote. You're just saying that because you're Black. No, my experience, I have the most diverse experience in this race, which is very important for a judge because you want a judge that can be open-minded to all sides, that can recognize and hear issues from each side. So I've been a prosecutor. I am currently in criminal defense. I've been a family law litigator. I've tried both bench and jury trials on all of those different levels. My opponent has not. And so my experience by far, it tops my opponent's experience. And that is literally, for me, most important for a judge who can come in with the knowledge necessary to preside over cases. I also am a business owner. I'm actually a 2-time business owner. I have to keep a little horn there. I've managed I have the math background. I've done, been a retirement analyst, which a lot of data, a lot of math, a lot of budgeting. I've held various budgeting roles. I do so right now in my sorority. And so I've managed and oversaw and budgeted for upwards of multi-million-dollar company plans. That is important experience because as a judge, you will have a budget. You will have employees. You will have to manage your budget and ensure that you are using it in a way in which is representative of the taxpayers, because y'all pay for this budget that the judge has. And so I have that actual experience. I have management experience, and judges will have employees that they will have to manage. I do have that experience as well. I am very involved in my community, and I think that that is necessary for a judge. I'm a firm believer that the judges have to start stepping off the bench. Because if we are really truly dedicated to lowering recidivism rates, we have to get off the bench and try to solve the problem before it makes it to the court. And so that is the type of judge I will be. I plan to show up to schools, talk to kids, see where problems are being had, see what we can do as a county to help curb some of these problems so we can stop having people come into court. And so just a collaboration of all of that. But hands down, the most experienced candidate in the race and the knowledge to take this seat.
I'm so excited for you. And I just say that because it's a beautiful thing to see people go for their dreams and to come out on top. You are so successful in all that you do. And it's not because of who you're connected to. It's because of your attitude, your humbleness, and the way that you respect all people. I've seen you dealing with people that have been against you. I've seen how the grace that you have handled those individuals. And when I'm looking at someone that is handling my case, or if I'm looking at someone that I want to prosecute, I do want somebody that is going to be able to not only have empathy, but also be firm and be knowledgeable. Because we have some judges in the bench, I'm not going to go through some of my stories, that are looking up the law while they're sitting there. And that is problematic.
I've literally had a judge tell me, well, here's another not fun fact. Some judges take seats and have never practiced in that area and expected to preside over these cases that they've never even handled. I've had a judge tell me that they would phone a friend if they had a question.
Were they going to get the phone a friend live, like during the trial? Or was that like that?
I would like talking about jaw on the floor. and I feel like I'm fighting for my life over here trying to this seat that I know I can handle. I know I have the experience to do it.
Look, I have tried to phone a friend before when I've had a legal question, but y'all are slow to answer. And so I can't be having my client looking at me crazy while I'm trying to phone all of y'all, because all of y'all are actively working and busy. So
but you're doing that as a counsel, not as the person that's supposed to know what's going on. Supposed to know what's going on.
No, I agree. I completely agree. So we have covered so far who you are. We've covered the ballot that you are running for. I want to talk about just in Tarrant County as a whole, as we prepare for this election cycle, what are some things that we need to be looking out for? I mean, the commissioner's court has been crunk. And I say that because we've seen some decisions that have been made to try to disenfranchise the vote. And I understand, people are going to say that's not what was happening. We were looking at the budget, but anytime you're trying to reduce the number of early polling locations, that's problematic, especially when it's for students. And it's helping those individuals have access to the vote. Mm-hmm. I'm always for access. If we can afford to equip and do other things with money in the city of Fort Worth for like the construction. I know y'all driving down 20 and see all of these roads made up all the time, these parks and all this stuff that remains unfinished. Definitely we can spend the money for some early polling locations. I know you are actively involved in some of those hearings. Kind of give us the landscape of what's going on in Tarrant County and why it's so important that people do come out and vote. They pay attention to who's on the ballot, and they are actually prepared in researching before they get there, so they understand what and who and the culture that you're voting for. And this doesn't have to, that I'm just telling you guys now, this doesn't have to be specific to any party. I'm just talking about a culture. I'm talking about the way that people are treating people, the respect that you get. If you could kind of elaborate on that, Mark.
That was jam-packed, but I will say our commissioner's court is a hot mess right now. And I'm glad you mentioned that the theory behind these early location was to save a little money.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why you really have to pay attention, because you got to see when it's time to save money and then when it was time to spend after I leave that club and spending frivolously. So we want to save money when it comes to people's civil rights. Their absolute right of something that they can do. But it was okay to spend $345,000 on a tank that the sheriff's department don't need. The sheriff's department can't keep folks employed. They obviously are continuously hundreds of deputies understaffed. But again, we got money to pay for a tank. We've spent $41 million on a private jail facility, but we can't afford 51 polling locations at $10,000 a pop. Like, this is why we got to pay attention. Because
wait, what's that meme where the guy's drinking and he goes?
Yeah, because that shows you the importance, or whether they're telling the truth. Is it really about the money? Because it doesn't seem to be about the money when we talk about a lot of other things that are not necessary. And so, yes, you got to pay attention to the culture, to the people, who's voting which way. And I was really impressed and in awe that it was Commissioner Ramirez that brought the vote. I mean, that was, and honestly, that was I would say a big sacrifice for him, because if you paid attention after that, he received a lot of backlash from his own party. Mm-hmm. Okay, that further shows you what was behind the idea of cutting those polling locations.
And that's why I think it's important to note the culture. That's why I said, because this wasn't, that vote to not reduce winded up not being necessarily by party, because Manny Ramirez is a Republican, and even the things that were said about him afterwards were very disheartening, right? Mm-hmm. The lies and just things. People, this is it's a very interesting, weird, and just very frustrating election cycle, where we have gotten to a point where people can just say whatever they want to say. To get views, to be able to try to draw attention and to do things that are not right. I don't know if you're dealing with that in your campaign, right? But I encourage anybody, you can elaborate on that.
I will just say it's it's disheartening to see. I will never stoop to that level to try to say or do anything just to get likes, views, because in this moment, it is just too important to be playing around.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I actually had to kind of check a friend on that. Like, this is not the time to be trying to drum up crazy conversation just to get, a ton of comments and things like that. It's not the time. Like, this is the time where everyone should be trying to set records straight, to only provide truth, to dispel rumors and falsehoods that are just flying left and right. Even the stuff about FEMA, like, it is so absurd, the type of stuff that's coming out, and it's almost unrecognizable. Like, the people that are doing this are people that are seeking to serve or in some way oversee or be the voice or engine for other people. And so what you do on social media, on TV, on whatever, if in saying that you're just doing it for likes, that goes towards your character. That shows the type of person that you are. And I've had a few videos on ads on social media, and oh my God, the comments. Like, if you don't like an ad, you could even easily scroll. You can even put, I don't want to see this again. You can do the mad face. But the attacks on my character, you don't know me. You've never met, you're not even trying to get to know me or what I'm about or anything about my race. You're just instantly attacked. She's a Dumbo. I'm a Dumbo-crat. I'm a rat. Someone told me I was a panhandler.
A Dumbo crap.
A Dumbo crap. Mm-hmm. I'm a rat. I'm a panhandler. My professional response.
What's the panhandler? Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I'm only attorney with a pretty successful law practice, but somehow I also panhandle. So I'm not sure. I do my responses are auto responses because I'm dumb and all of this. Like, it's really not called for. And now is really not the time for that type of politics. And so it's a shame that this is where it's gone. I feel like it's worse than it's ever been. And even like the backlash that Commissioner Ramirez received, that is just, it's not necessary. And why? And I think his reason for bringing the vote was very logical. We should not be reducing access. We should be increasing access to people to be able to exercise their right. And so, yeah, I just, this is the nasty part of politics that I never want to be a part of, but that's the way that it's been as of late.
And I just want to say that we too, as individuals, can contribute to that. And the reason why I say we can contribute to that is by showing videos that we haven't really researched that continues to spread false information. Like, be careful before you're sharing stuff on Facebook or liking posts on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok. Just making sure that you understand what is being said, researching it. I am one of them. I ask a lot of questions. I know people be annoyed with me. Sometimes my head be like, because I'm like, what? And I'm like, huh? Because I'm asking questions because I don't want to share anything on my page, or I don't want to contribute to anything that is false. I know that we are in the era, and what did Michelle Obama say? She said, when they go low, we go high. But we are truly in the time where it's like, when you go low, I'm going to go.
They're going to hell.
There you go. And so it's just like, at this point, I'm like, this idiot stuff that I'm hearing. It's just to the point now where I'm just like, it's time to stop playing, because it's too serious, and it's too, and encouraging it, laughing at it, just like, ooh, they wild for that. No, it's not that they wild for that. Y'all are, they are not wild for that. They are strategic for that. They are planning that, and it kills me how
people thrown off.
Yeah, I know people that laugh at, sometimes you'll hear, Trump make statements in some outlandish, like when he was talking about people eating cats and dogs, and I am bringing that up. That was just so unreal. And you had the city and everyone just saying that, this is not a true statement. And people that were just laughing and, they're wild for that. I know we had some memes. They were funny. But it's a really serious thing because people were actually being threatened. People were actually being harassed. And so we have to be careful. We're in the age where everything is a joke. Like, I'm looking at the Hurricane Milton that just went through, and you see people on boats, you see people doing TikTok videos. Y'all saw the what they call Lieutenant Dan. He's trying to get he's about to get a whole podcast deal for some foolishness. And then they were like, well, his background record, they saw these arrests. I mean, you can look at Lieutenant Dan and kind of figure out he has something interesting past. It's not shocking. But I say all that to say, when we are sharing and we are engaging in this pop culture, right? What happens when you got to be mindful of what happens when we're sharing information that's incorrect or contributing, even false statements. I'm not reposting it on my page. I'm not going to give them any clicks, views, likes, anything that will continue to perpetuate the story. Right. Because we want to be mindful of that. And so I appreciate you saying, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to share what is the real. I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that with our own people. And when I say our own people, I'm talking about our legal community, right? The people that you would think would be in just full support, and not just of you as a candidate, but as a young person, someone that is representing so much for this movement and for where we are in our time now, just to support you and encourage you and say, you know what, we appreciate the sacrifices you're making. We appreciate the things that you are doing. And so if nobody has told you that today, I'm telling you it right now. I'm giving you your flowers. I'm giving you your chocolate covered strawberries. I'm giving you thank you for stepping out there and running. Thank you for taking out the time to make sure that you are representing all of us, the little girl in me that didn't know that I could even be an attorney, let alone have my own business, let alone, be a judge. I joke with all of my friends that have their own law firms, and I always ask them, will y'all give me a job? And they're always, yeah, Nikki. But they're not going to really do that. But look, they're making all this money.
I can't
they doing their thing. I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. But I am excited for your candidacy. I'm excited for all that you are doing in the community. If someone that's listening right now and they want to join your campaign or they want to help in any kind of way, what are the best ways we can help? And not only with your campaign, but making sure we get the vote out. What are some ways that we can do that?
So helping on my campaign, you can contact me at any of the information that's here, my social media. I do actually manage my own social media, and I do actually respond to the comments and everything that comes in. It's not a auto machine that's talking to you. But yes, please reach out to me because I definitely need help. The number one thing, a volunteer that I'm recruiting for is poll greeters. So these are folks that would be available on election days to go to a poll and encourage folks to vote all the way down the ballot, because we know that a lot of people are going to show up to vote at the top of the ticket, but we need to make sure that they stay to the end. And so I am requesting for poll greeters. So if you are interested or know someone or can even gather a few or 5 or 10 friends that can volunteer their time, please contact me. I have a sign up genius that we can all get signed up for. Between now and then, lit dropping is a big thing. So if you know a group of people that you can get my card to, or really just sharing a post, taking a picture or saving off of my page, my flyer, and texting it out to people. I tell people to get a good group of 20 that you can hold accountable to vote, and have those people have their own group of 20, because we have to get folks to the polls. When we show up, like, I know this is the common theme, but it's so true. When we show up and when we vote, we win, period. And that is the only reason why you see all these different voter suppression tactics coming out, because a lot of people bank on the low voter turnout to stay in power. But the more people that show up, literally, is when you see the better candidates being elected. So just sharing my name, sharing a flyer, sharing a post, being a poll greeter, or having groups. I don't mind doing Zooms with anybody or showing up to a meeting or something to talk about my platform. Just reach out to me. I'm on social. I don't see my email on here, but it's just markforjudge@gmail.com. markforjudge@gmail.com. Just reach out to me.
So we y'all heard that. Poll greeters. In a poll greeter, like I said, there are some rules that you need to follow when you're out there at the polls. We don't want y'all representing Mark's campaign in a bad way or being on the news later on that night because y'all did some crazy stuff. So if you can get in contact with her early, let her know so that way we can get you properly trained. And again, that's what I said. So there's different ways to help with the election. I know the poll monitors, those are the legal people, but the non-legal people, we got room, we got space. Everybody get out and vote and start voting early. Do not wait.
Yes. Oh my God.
November the 5th. I'm telling y'all now. My birthday is October the 26th. This is a national holiday, always has been since I was born 47 years ago. And so I just want y'all to know that y'all can vote for my birthday gift. I'm willing to give up gifts if y'all go vote. I'm going to start a campaign and say for Nikki's birthday, go vote on the 26th. That's a Saturday. The polls will be open because I really want y'all to get out there early. And the reason why I want you to get out there early is because I want y'all working on November the 5th. And for those of you that have jobs that tell you that, you can't do early voting because of the hours, or you can't do early voting because of other things. If you are unable to do early voting, the state of Texas has a law that does give you time off from work without fear of retaliation, without fear of being fired. I believe it's up to 3 hours, either before or after the poll. If you are not able to vote and you are eligible to take that time off, most jobs actually pay. They won't say that. They're not going to say it publicly. But check your policies. They will pay. But if you need to take the time off to go vote, then you can do that. That is a right in the state of Texas, and it's a law. And if your jobs give you any kind of problem with taking off to vote on election day, I don't want you waiting until election day. But if y'all want to try to do it, hey, I get it. Let me know, and I will help y'all with your job, and we'll file a nice little EEOC or TWC complaint and get us a little change on the side. Make it rain. Right. We are about to wrap up. But before I do, I just want to say thank you guys for everyone that has tuned in today. I don't know if anybody has any questions. We'll be on here for about another 5 minutes. If y'all have a question for MarQ, you could drop that in the chat or in the comments, and then she'd be more than happy to answer it or give y'all a nice politician answer. It says that's my favorite thing. Whenever somebody calls me as an attorney and they ask me a question, what is our favorite answer?
It depends.
It depends.
There's typically not an answer.
If y'all got some money to keep talking to me for this, that's joking. But it does, we're just excited about this election season. I'm always excited to see people that I know personally running and achieving their goals and dreams when they are good people. I've seen some people that are running that I'm like, ooh. I'm just like, whatever floats they boat, but I can't personally attest to that. But I will attest to MarQ. You guys know me, y'all know my character, and I wouldn't give y'all any kind of trash or tell y'all to vote for anybody that I don't think is capable of doing the job. And I know that she is. I trust that she is. She's a great person and also very smart, very knowledgeable. And as she said, professional. One of the things that I think we forget, and I'm going to just throw this out here too for all my church folks that are listening this morning, my brothers and sisters in Christ. We do forget that when you are managing a church, you are managing a courthouse, you are managing people. And whether we believe it or not, there's a business aspect. And so that is important. If I've never tried a case or if I've never done certain things and I want to take on that job, it is very difficult to learn on the job. We have people that say that they were called to be pastors and they're running churches, but they have no kind of intellect when it comes to business and the management of how you manage a flock and people. And those are all important aspects that you really want in anybody in leadership. You want to have people in leadership that know not just manage people, but how to work with people. I don't want to just be managed. I want you working with me. And you notice how MarQ said that she's in the community. She is. I've seen her. I've been there with her. She is not just in the community. She is in the schools. She volunteers all the time when we do Law Week, pipeline programs for the young people in our community in schools and high schools and junior highs. So she's actually there. She has her own children that she has raised and that we take time away from when she's trying to do these things, right? She has a daughter in college. She has another young son. I know he plays sports. I remember that, so she's a parent and she's multitasking. And so that to me is one of the most important tasks of a judge is can you multitask? Because you're going to have multiple things going on in the courtroom that you have to handle. And so she didn't mention that, but I'm throwing that skill on. Managing a business, being able to multitask, being able to not just manage people, but work with people, but the experience. Look at the ballot. She's given you guys her platform. She's told you her philosophy. She's told you what she's building her campaign on. I challenge you to go look at her opponent. And I'm not throwing any daggers on the opponent. If anybody watches this and they come back later and say that, but she's challenged you guys to go look at the knowledge, the knowledge in the research the experience. That's a simple ask, right? And so I challenge all of y'all today after we hang up to do that. Go look at her experience. Go to her website. Go to her pages and compare that. And you should be doing that not just with hers, but with every single position that is on this ballot, guys. Go look at these. Don't just show up. And if you want to call me and you want me to tell you everybody to vote for it, I'll happily do that. But you're going to be voting. You're going to be using Nikki's vote. But I'll do it. I will do it. Right. But I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to do the research on what you're voting for. What are your philosophies? What is it that you stand for? And this is the thing that always kills me. You have people that will look at a ballot. They hear, they know what their philosophies are and their values, and they'll hear a candidate. And we're never going to get 100% of what we want. And I want people to understand that. But if you don't have even 10% of that in the person and you're voting just because you think that's the lesser of two evils, no. You are not doing yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice. Yeah, you are. You are doing yourself a disservice. So just be knowledgeable. Take the time to do the research. You have between now and the 21st, which is the first day of early voting. Take every single office, right, that is on the ballot. What do they do for the community? How does that impact me, right? I think we're going to do a show. I told Elder Black that we were going to do a show on here that we really do need a 101 government class where we're talking about does the president have the power to do things? I know a lot of times we want to say the president has all this power, but to be honest with y'all, he really is just managing in office, and it's people relations and government relations, because we have executive branches for a reason. I know y'all all passed high school, or at least got a GED, or at least made it through 6th grade, where they go through the process for the government. History class, very important. We have 3 branches of the government. 3. Anybody want to guess what those are? Anybody can put that in the. Before we do that, yes, we got 4 minutes before I go through my little government speech with the 3. I do want MarQ to talk about that lock brush.
Oh yes, lock brush.
So yeah, she's getting that together. But we got 3. We got the executive, we got the legislative, and we got the look at me. Oh, there goes the brush. Thank you. Thank you, Shayla.
Hang on. Okay, so yeah, this is lock brush. Is it because my background is being weird?
We can see it.
Okay. So yes, it has the ball designed to prevent it from getting under the lock. And so when I say a detangling brush, is not to take these out. It's simply just to be able to brush my hair. And I can brush it into a ponytail. And it's not snagging my hair or taking it out or anything like that. So these little locks, they do get tangled. I say, the kitchen is always kitchening back there. It don't matter what kind of hair you got, it still gets tangled right in that nook. And so this brush, we don't have any tools to brush our hair or to detangle it other than our nasty hands that we touch everything on. And so
let me get this straight. You're practicing law, running for judge, and you're creating brushes. Girl, where do you get the time?
I don't know.
I don't have locks, but if you do have locks, I've seen the brush. I was one of the lucky ones to see it when she was going through the process of making it. It is absolutely phenomenal. You guys can reach out to her. I don't think you can reach out to the MarQ Clayton for judge for the brush.
The website is simple as just lockbrush.com.
Lockbrush.com. Do y'all see that? Lockbrush.com.
And I got my paperwork together, so don't try to steal it.
Boom. If y'all see somebody on TikTok with some videos, y'all better let me know. Please let a sister know so we can go ahead and put out our little cease and desist. We're gonna be on that energy. Cease and desist. So we are wrapping up. It is 10:58. I know that you guys have a very productive Saturday ahead. For those of you guys that are going to the state fair, be careful for the OU Texas game. I guess we'll go Texas because we live in Texas, but I don't really have a dog in the fight. 49ers won on Thursday. Y'all know I'm that go bang bang. Yes.
Boomer.
Yeah, Calvin, what'd you say?
Boomer over here.
Oh, Boomer. Oh, my bad. Okay, go UT Austin still. No.
We'll see. We'll see around 6 o'clock.
I take it to the end. I say that to the end. But anyway, y'all have a great day. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you have any comments, continue to put those on the stream. It will be available to still watch and to go back, and so you can share it. Next week, I do want to advertise, if that's okay with Ms. Elder Sheila Black, on October 17th. Tarrant County will be hosting a very important conversation on the state of the Tarrant County criminal court systems, and they will examine the history of our judges, the history of diversity on the bench, and kind of where we're at now. That is a public event, so you can come in person, but we will be live on Action. So I'm going to broadcast this show from that event, so that way we can stream and we can get more people involved. And so you guys make sure that you are stay tuned for that announcement, and we'll be doing that next week on October 17th. And then the following week, guess what y'all are going to be doing? Voting. So y'all have a good evening. Have a great day. It's been a pleasure spending some time with y'all.
Thank you.